They believed luck was a game you could hack. But in the end, it hacked them. Lu Chong and Ren Xiaofei. Two faces nobody remembered. Night security guards in the Handan branch of the Agricultural Bank of China. 8 hours a night. Locked inside concrete and steel. Their job? Watch. Wait. Stay invisible. 4 years they did just that. But the silence does something to a man. It turns routine into resentment. It makes poverty feel personal, like an insult. Lu Chong, the older one, carried that resentment like a second skin. Smart, restless, always calculating. Every night, he talked about the lottery, like it was math, not chance. If you bought enough tickets, the odds would crack. Simple. Obvious. But only if you had money. Ren Xiaofei listened. Younger, quieter, but loyal. His life was even emptier. No family, no future. Just debt. Chong's voice filled that void. And night after night, a seed was planted. They didn't need to imagine where the money was. It was right there. In the vault. Behind doors they already had keys for. No alarms to dodge. No weapons to wield. No faces to hide. Just 2 men, a bank full of cash. And a plan that would change everything. The idea wasn't born in one night. It built itself, piece by piece, in silence, between the clicks of their rounds. Chong was the architect. He studied the bank like a puzzle. He knew when the audits happened. He knew which cameras were real, which were broken. He even knew which supervisor was too lazy to check the logs. But more importantly, he knew how to make it look clean. Their plan wasn't just to steal. It was to borrow. Take a chunk of cash, buy a mountain of lottery tickets, hit the jackpot, and return the stolen money before anyone noticed. If it worked, they'd walk away rich. If it didn't, they'd still have time to fix it. Or so they believed. They started small. Chong suggested they test the waters. Withdraw a few thousand first. No one noticed. The balance sheet still balanced. For now. That success made them bold. Chong calculated the next move. 200,000 yuan. Nearly $25,000. Enough for tickets, but not enough to trigger suspicion. They did it. They played the numbers. Hundreds of tickets. Their hands stained with ink. Their minds spinning with dreams of fortune. Then the draw came. And they lost. No jackpot. No winnings. Nothing. Panic should have stopped them. But Chong refused. They just needed to try again. This time with more. If they didn't double down now, they'd never cover the gap. So they did. This time, they took 32 million yuan. Nearly $4 million. In a single night. They didn't even flinch. One shot. One draw. The numbers rolled in. And again. They lost. By then there was no way back. They had crossed the line twice, and both times, the universe slammed the door shut. But Chong wasn't done. The vault still had more. And the bank still hadn't noticed. He convinced Xiaofei, one final haul, just enough to buy one last shot at the lottery. The plan was brutal in its simplicity. Wait for the weekend, when staff was minimal. Access the vault after midnight, when no one watched. And walk out with bags of cash like they were janitors finishing a shift. That night, the city slept. Inside the bank, they moved in silence, guided by routine, not adrenaline. No alarms blared. No guards questioned them. Just keys and locks. Combinations remembered by heart. Steel doors opening like obedient servants. By dawn, they had stolen 51 million yuan. Nearly $7 million. It was the biggest cash theft in China's history. And yet, the bank didn't even know. Not yet. Chong and Xiaofei carried the cash to a safe house. Bundles of bills stacked like bricks, the smell of money thick in the air. Chong didn't waste a second. He bought more lottery tickets. Tens of thousands. An ocean of numbers, scribbled and printed, all tied to a single hope. They waited. One more draw. This was it. The numbers dropped. And they lost. Again. $7 million. Gone. On paper, in ink, in the dumb randomness of chance. And now. The bank was finally counting its money. The first audit hit like a siren in the dark. Discrepancies. Missing stacks. Numbers that didn't match. The bank launched a quiet internal investigation. No alarms to the public. Not yet. But inside those walls, suspicion spread like smoke. Chong tried to stay calm. He had a plan for this too, a script rehearsed in his mind. But Xiaofei was crumbling. He didn't sleep. He drank. He snapped at shadows. The weight of $7 million vaporized in a gamble. It crushed him. They argued. Chong blamed Xiaofei for being weak. Xiaofei blamed Chong for everything. For the plan, for the greed, for the hole they'd dug. And then Xiaofei made a mistake. He started talking. To friends. In bars. Half-drunk whispers about fortune. About risks. It didn't take long before someone listened. The police had already been watching the bank staff. When the tips started surfacing, Xiaofei's name came up. They watched him closer. His spending. His nervous tics. His sudden paranoia. And then came the mistake Chong couldn't cover. Xiaofei tried to move money. Quietly. But it wasn't quiet enough. Surveillance caught him. The net was closing. And Chong knew. He was next. When the police came, they didn't knock. Xiaofei was arrested first. Caught off guard. Broken. Terrified. He didn't last 48 hours. Under pressure, under fear. He talked. Names. Details. Dates. Every piece of the puzzle laid bare. By the time they reached Chong, he was already packing to flee. Too late. The arrest was clean. No struggle, no drama. Just the cold click of handcuffs. In interrogation, Chong tried to hold the line. But the facts were stacked too high. They had surveillance. They had records. They had Xiaofei's confession. The investigation uncovered everything. 3 separate thefts, totaling nearly $7 million. All funneled into the national lottery. Not a single yuan left. No offshore accounts. No backup plans. Just a mountain of worthless tickets. And a nation watching in disbelief. The court moved fast. The case was public, the shame national. Chong and Xiaofei stood trial. 2 security guards who tried to outsmart fate. And lost everything. The verdict was swift. Death penalty. China does not forgive crimes of this scale. Especially when committed by the very men trusted to guard the money. The fallout shook the banking system. Security protocols changed. Audits doubled. But the story remained. Of 2 men, a vault, a lottery. And a one-way path to execution. April 2008. Barely a year after the heist, the sentence was carried out. Chong and Xiaofei, executed by firing squad. No last statements. No grand confessions. Just silence and the cold machinery of the state. The money? Gone forever. The stacks of stolen cash had been obliterated in numbers, ink, and losing tickets. Not a single cent recovered. Their families, left with nothing but disgrace. The bank, a scarred institution that rewrote its security playbook. But in the end, the story wasn't about the bank. It wasn't even about the money. It was about 2 men who thought luck could be bought. And paid for it with their lives. No glory. No riches. Just a bullet. And a lesson. Some doors aren't meant to be opened.